Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad, and you are connecting to from wherever you are. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, Sutra 111. Sutra 111, Become Each Being. We have not reached this number. There are 112 sutras in Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This is on a request to explain this sutra, and the request was from a person. Because of his sincerity, it could not be overlooked. Before the sutra says, this consciousness exists as each being and nothing else exists. Become each being. This is the last chapter, which has 4 sutras. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So, leaving aside concern for self, become each being. This consciousness exists as each being and nothing else exists. 109, 110, 111, and 112. The last is this consciousness is the spirit of guidance of each one, be this one. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairava Tantra is a treatise which is over 5,000 years ago. In the beginning, it was developed, it was followed, but then the medieval period came in when, because of ignorance, and because of the priestly community, it was not accepted. Many misconceptions began. It was in early 70s, that an enlightened Master Osho revived the sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. There are many versions of it. The most authentic is from a Kashmiri enlightened Pandit. In Kashmir, he is known as Pandit, but he is enlightened Lakshman Ju. These sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra first appeared as pointed out by Lakshman Ju in the book Zen Flesh, Zen Bones by Paul Reps as centering. There are other versions of it also. The sutras are in Sanskrit, which have been translated, so there is a slight difference here and there. But I am taking the version which is influenced by Lakshman Ju and others, and based on my own intuitive insights about the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. This consciousness exists as being, as each being, and nothing else exists. Existence as such is one. You see, there is only one sky. that spreads over every nation, every ocean, every mountain, each citizen of whatever country you belong to. There is no Muslim sky or a Hindu sky or a Christian sky. There is no separate Muslim ocean or Hindu cloud. Cloud is one. Consciousness is one. The air that you breathe is one. You may breathe the filtered air in your room, but when you look at the chemical composition of the air, it has nothing to do with Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or American or Indian. It has a certain quality, the percentage of the oxygen and other ingredients that may vary. That's a different matter. This you have to understand. Consciousness is one. When an individual attains to awakening, does he remain a Hindu? Does he remain a Muslim or a Buddhist? The experience is one. The experience of Buddha, Osho, Ramakrishna, Krishnamurti is same. Whether you are a Muslim or a Christian or a Buddhist, once you have attained to oneness, experience is one. Your expressions may differ. Expressions may be influenced by your culture, your way of life, or anything. Each enlightened master has two aspects. One is his centering. Centering creates an aura. This is his influence. The aura that he spreads, his influence. The other aspect of the name is the nature. What is the nature of an awakened one? Is he still guided by narrow identity? I am not saying this that you change your basic things. A Hindu puts on a tilak on the forehead. A Muslim puts on a cap on his head. But both of them drive their vehicles on the right hand side in America. This is oneness. In the same way, you can use the language that you are familiar with, the traditions or ways. The law of America does not say that a Muslim has to walk or drive the vehicle in the middle of the road and a Christian will drive the vehicle on the left hand side. No, there is one law for all. Awakening is one law for all. That is, this consciousness exists as each being. Everyone who has attained reflects the same thing. Existence is one. Just as existence is one, the sky is one, the cloud is one. It spreads over all nations and individuals. So too, consciousness, the inner awakening, is the same in all the individuals. Whether it is Krishnamurti or Ramakrishna or Holy Prophet or Osho or Buddha or anyone, its expression will depend on the type of people he has to work with, the language that he is familiar with, the country, and so many things. I have to use the English language because the vast majority of the ones who are listening to this talk are familiar with English language. Sometimes I do feel that I should speak in Hindi, but the time and opportunity does not permit me. So I have to use a common language, a common platform which can be useful and effective for all. Existence as such is one. The human problems arises because of human self-consciousness. Consciousness gives everyone a feeling that they are separate. And the feeling that you are separate from the existence creates all problems. Basically, this feeling is false, and whosoever is based on this falsity creates anguish, will create problems, will create confusion, and whatsoever you do, it is based on this false separateness. It will go always wrong. So from the very beginning, the problem of human anguish has to be tackled, has to be handled. How does it arise? Consciousness gives you a feeling that you are the center of your being. And consciousness makes you aware that the other is other. That you are different from them. This kind of division we do not see in a bud and a flower. From the very beginning, I said, you are the seed of awakening. I got the opportunity to blossom before you. Everyone carries the seed of awakening within his womb. This flower is blossomed today. Tomorrow, next flower will blossom, and every individual has to attain to inner flowering. This is the destiny. A poet has said, "Har band kali ko khilna hai." Every closed bud has to blossom. Har band kali ko khilna hai aur khilkar murjhana hai. And after blossoming has to become the seed once again, so that this process continues. I have blossomed. This seed attained its fruition. The flower is spreading its beauty and fragrance. But one day it will dissolve. It will attain to the seed form once again. And this process continues until the role of the seed is finished. There is a particular, like for instance, you take any commodity, or it has a lifespan. It works, continues to work when its life you look at the spacecraft, it is sent into the outer space. It has a certain lifespan. So after finishing its work, it continues to orbit in the outer space around moon, around other planet, or remains in the space or something else. So this is where, when the purpose of an individual awakened is finished, first he enters into the unknown, the formless. Formless is the source of all that is firm. It has been beautifully explained in Ramcharitmanas when he speaks about Shiva. So after that the person enters into the formless form, you have an email reached you. It is a form and formless both. It is formless. In the formless form it comes to you. Through your device you convert it into a form that is easily understandable by you, and after that you delete it. Then it remains for a certain period of time as determined by the system, and then it vanishes. But in existence, the form changes, it becomes formless once again. And then Sufis call this as alame ghaib. So from the very beginning, the problem of human anguish has to be handled. How does it arise? Consciousness gives you a feeling that you are the center of your being. So too, everyone is the center of the being. It is like there is a point, you use that point as radius and draw a circumference. So this circumference is thinking that this center belongs to me. This center belongs to me. But by varying the radius, you can draw another circumference. And that circumference will also think that this center is my center as well. So too, as many circumferences are drawn using that center, that point as center will belong to only that center. Infinite number of circumferences can be drawn with varying distances from the center, but all of them have a common center. So this you have to understand. You have attained. You are at your center. I have attained. So it is something like this. Another example for your understanding. Two people go to a restaurant. Both of them eat the same meals and they experience satiation after eating that, but their expressions differ from one another. Does it mean you are fulfilled and the other is not fulfilled? If it has quality, this is a very basic example, but the example is consciousness gives you a feeling that you are the center of your being. The consciousness makes you aware that you have attained, the other has not. Yes, it may be the other has not attained as yet. This bud has blossomed into a flower today. Tomorrow that one will belong. हर बंद कली को खिलना है और खिलकर फिर मुरझाना है. साईं की सदा सुन जा बाबा, आ बाबा, दुनिया रंग बदलती है बाबा. Come and listen to the message of the awakened one. The world keeps on changing its form every moment. A flower is blossomed, then it withers away, becomes the seed once again. The difference is just because you are conscious. While you are asleep, there is no difference. You are again merged with the universe. Hence, so much bliss comes out of sleep. When you are sleeping, there comes a moment when you are, that comes at a certain time, when for a few moments you disappear into the unknown and unknowable, that refreshes you and rejuvenates you, makes you alive once again, fresh. What is happening in deep sleep? You are losing your ego, you are losing yourself, you are falling into the unity with existence. That falling back into the unity makes you fresh, alive and rejuvenated once again. And in the morning you feel fresh and blissful. All the anguish disappears, all conflict, all disturbances disappear, all fear, death disappears, because death is possible only if you are separate. If you are not separate, then death is impossible. Who is going to die if you are not separate? Who can suffer if you are not separate? You feel yourself separate from the existence. That's why you suffer. So all tantra, yoga and all methods of meditation are just to make you aware that you are, that separateness is false, because the center will have disappeared from you and it will take a right place in the universe. The drop has merged in the ocean. You are part of the existence. You have a cosmic presence. You will be just a wave on the surface of the ocean. Wave is not separate. Like a wave on the surface of the ocean, I rose one day and then will disappear in the vastness of the ocean. You will not be separate, so you will not be afraid. You will feel insecure. You will not feel insecure. You will feel that anguish of approaching. You will not feel any anguish or anxiety of approaching death and annihilation. All that disappears when ego disappears. Awakening means you are one. You are not separate from the existence. I am you, you are me. This oneness, this understanding, this is awakening. Awakening means you are not separate from me. Hindus have always believed that samadhi is conscious sleep. Sam means unanimous, equanimous, dhi state. In sleep, it happens automatically that you are no more. The existence is, and you are no more, but you are deeply unconscious in that state, so you don't know what is happening during the sleep. Samadhi is that state of sleep when you are totally conscious. If the same phenomena can happen consciously, you become enlightened. Buddha moved to the same source that you are moving every night in deep sleep, in dreamless state of sleep. But Buddha moves in that source consciously. When he enters sleep, he enters consciously. When he speaks to Mudgalyam or Sariputra or Subhuti, he is totally conscious. When an awakened one speaks, he is totally conscious. It is happening through you. It is happening through him. He knows where he is moving to. He knows what is happening. And when he comes back from that deep source, he comes totally different. The old has disappeared. New and a new being, a new energy has arisen out of that. The bud has disappeared. In place of that, a totally new fragrance, new beauty, new presence takes place. Out of this being, the center of the universe, and with this transfer of the center, all your worries, anguish, and hellish state disappears. Simply disappears. It does not solve. It disappears. It is simply not there. It cannot exist without ego. The pain exists because of ego. The moment ego disappears, pain disappears, its feeling disappears. The ego is just like the shell of the egg. It is needed. It protects. Just like the shell of a seed, the inside of the seed is protected by the outer shell. For the process of transformation, this outer shell has to break, and then innerness begins to manifest. That ego is that which protects. It has to break. It is needed. It protects. But the protection can become dangerous too, and it can stop. If the seed, if you do not want to break the egg, the shell, and want to make a cake, is it possible? In order to make the cake means the innerness has to transform itself, merge with other ingredients to become one cake mix. Then everything, the egg, the sugar, the butter, the flour, everything loses their identities and become one. That is a cake batter, cake mix. And it has if the egg decides not to lose its outer shell, it cannot merge, it cannot mix with the flour, it cannot mix with butter. In order for to get the whipped cream, the oil or butter and sugar have to leave their egos, and when they are whipped together, we get the cream, which is used for frosting the cake. Egg is just like the ego is just like the shell of an egg. It protects, it is needed. Just like shell of a seed, it is needed to protect. But when it goes in the womb of the earth, the shell has to, the seed has to lose its shell, its outer covering. Because of the moment it goes within, it the process of transformation begins. The shell, the outer protective shell has to vanish. If it does not, the process of transformation or growth cannot begin. It goes, the seed must die. Every man is born as a seed. Ego is the outer covering. It protects the child. If a child is born without ego, without the feeling that I exist, he cannot survive. The seed must have an outer shell in order to protect itself. You buy anything, you buy pistas, it has an outer shell. Outer shell protects it. But when you are going to consume the pistas as a breakfast or snack or any form, you have to break open the outer shell. And then the inner kernel is used. You take any seed, watermelon seed, pistas, sunflower seed, pumpkin seed, these are all protected by outer shell. A child, a baby, a youth, and all of them are protected by their outer shells that I exist. He cannot survive without that. A pumpkin seed cannot survive without this outer shell. He will have to be able, the seed must be able to protect itself until it is necessary. He will not be able to struggle. He will not be able to face the rigors of the society, of the outer rigors of time, the temperatures and anything. It is needed. But a moment comes when this help, this protection that has been protecting the outer shell, that has been protecting the inner kernel of a seed, has to break because it has become an hindrance. When the process of growth has to begin, it must disappear. It protects you from outside, but it becomes so strong that it will not allow you, the inner being, to spread, to go beyond, to sprout. So ego is needed, and then you have to transcend the ego. That too is needed. This outer shell is needed. The outer shell needed to protect. But for transformation, for growth, this outer shell has to leave itself, has to vanish. If someone dies with ego, he has died as a seed. He has died without really attaining the destiny. Without attaining the destiny that was possible. The seed has every possibility to blossom into a flower. But if its seed is not planted, does not get an opportunity to be planted in the womb of the earth, it will never grow. It is deprived of the opportunity of blossoming. in the company of an awakened one, which is like a congenial environment, which is like the soil, which is like the total environment, the soil, the atmosphere, the winds, the water, everything. It allows you the opportunity for the seed that is hidden in you to blossom. If the seed dies, vanishes without being blossomed, it is a misfortune. If someone dies with ego, he has died as a seed. He has died without really attaining the destiny that was possible, without attaining existence consciously. These techniques are for how to destroy this seed that is there in you. This basic introduction was important in order to explain the Sutra 111. You have to feel, these all must go in a sequence. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. Feel the other as if he is you and you are him. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So, leaving aside concern for self, become each being. We are always concerned with our own self. If I cannot feel your pain, this is what compassion is. Feel the consciousness of each person as your own consciousness. So, leaving aside the concern for self, become each being. This, and then the next stage comes in. The consciousness exists as one being and nothing else exists. Nothing else exists. This consciousness is the spirit of guidance of each individual. Be this one. So the Sutra 111 says, this consciousness is the guiding spirit of each one. Be this one. There is something that guides you. What guides? There are different seeds are planted, or flower plants are planted on a flower bed. The manure for them, the nature of the fertilization of the soil is the same. The same water is being given to them, same air, the same sunlight. These are the ingredients that are required for the growth of the seed. They are all one. So this is what you have to understand, that. And then it will be possible for you to feel that this consciousness is the guiding spirit of each one. This consciousness is the spirit of guidance of each one. Be this one. First thing is that you have the guide within you, but you do not use it. There is a guide within you that you do not use, and you have not used it for long. So for many, many years you have not used it. You are not even aware of the guide within you. And this we will continue in tomorrow's session, so that this sutra is explained. So until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.